Good evening. My name is Sherry Mudd. I teach biology at Ardrey-Kell. Wanted to give you a little bit of information about myself first before we go into the class information. I have been teaching biology in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools this is now my 29th year, and this is my first year at Ardrey-Kell, and I am so happy to be here. I've wanted to start with a little bit of information about our class. Biology is a course that has an end of course test at the end, which is given by the state of North Carolina. So our curriculum is governed by the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. So here on the screen, you can see some of the major topics that your child will be learning about in biology this year. My ultimate goal for all of the students that I teach in my class are, first of all, to have a thorough understanding of the living world and the world around us, to become scientifically literate citizens of this world, which includes not only reading printed text, but analyzing and interpreting data and making decisions based on that data. Of course, we want every student to not only pass, but do very well on the end of course test. Biology is a graduation requirement with that required end of course test as part of that. So that is one of our ultimate goals. And then, of course, to prepare for advanced learning in subsequent biology classes, such as AP courses or other electives that are offered around the school. My class is structured very similarly on a day-to-day basis. We tend to start class each day using our journals for a warm-up. The warm-up exercises are based on things that I may see that we need a little bit of extra time to talk about and go over to address any misconceptions that I've noticed or frequently missed questions on assessments. Or maybe it's a preview of the day's new material. Following the warm-up, students have a daily progress check where they use their classwork or homework to answer a series of questions, which is going to allow me and them to gauge their understanding of that particular assignment and give them very quick and immediate feedback on how they did on that assignment. Then we have delivery of new material, which is typically through their reading the new material or in some cases listening to a lecture about the new material and taking notes, or maybe engaging in a class discussion with peers about the new material. And then nearly every day we have some sort of a hands-on activity or lab. Even if it's not a wet lab, maybe there are manipulatives that are being used, or at least some sort of a discussion with a peer group about the topic to put it in a real world context. And then review assignments to make sure that everyone is understanding what they are supposed to understand. Biology is a very, very fast-paced course. We have a very tight curriculum that we have to get through, so we work bell to bell every single day. My student expectations include for them to come to class prepared. That means that any homework they may have been given is complete, their materials are ready, and they are prepared to start class right when the bell rings. I would expect to see all students remain alert and attentive and participating actively throughout the class period, using higher level thinking skills, going beyond the obvious, thinking outside of their comfort zone, persevering when things tend to be a little bit challenging, and then asking for help if they need it. Some tips for success that I have for students regarding biology class are, first of all, using an agenda or a planner to keep up with their assignments. As I said, it's very fast-paced, so the use of an agenda or a planner will allow them to make sure they're staying on track. The use of the biology handbook helps them to stay organized. We do move quickly. We cover a lot of material. The biology handbook is their primary resource for this class. If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to ask your child about it. It includes their class notes and many review assignments and activities, links to videos, and check yourself questions where they can gauge their progress. And this is the primary resource that is used, and the structure of the handbook is intended to help them with organization of the immense amount of material. There is a lot of content to be covered in biology, so studying a little bit at a time every single day, whether it's with the class notes that are provided in the handbook or with other resources that I've provided, is definitely encouraged. Different students have different types of learning styles. Some prefer to watch videos. Some prefer to write things down, make note cards. Some prefer to do things like digital note cards. Some prefer to talk to friends and study with a group. So I do encourage students to try things out until they find something that works for them, and then use that information to study according to their learning style. Lastly, if a student is struggling, I definitely encourage them to ask for help, to ask for some additional assistance right away. I am available for tutoring, and I will go over how that works. But don't wait till the last minute. We want to address any problems right away if possible. We do use Canvas in our biology class, and you can access the daily activities for the course, both the classwork and the homework for any given day, by logging into Canvas. And this is particularly useful if a student is out for any reason. By just logging into Canvas, as shown here, this is the home screen, clicking on the button labeled Biology Modules, enter course here, they can select our current module and go to the daily schedule, which is shown in chart form. We have the agenda for the day, the assignments that have been done, the page numbers, the homework that was given, links to the handbook if they happen to not have that available at home. So basically anything that's needed is right there available in Canvas for them to access. Some assignments are going to be submitted and graded through Canvas, but definitely not all of these assignments are. So please don't use the Canvas gradebook as a way to access their average. This will not be an accurate reflection of a student's grade. You would need to go into PowerSchool because there are additional assignments that have not been entered through Canvas when you go into PowerSchool. Lastly, using Canvas, you can get to not only my teacher website, but the class syllabus. So by logging in as an observer in your student's Canvas course, you would click on the home page, and as you can see from the two buttons, there's a link to my general website, and then there is a link to the course syllabus that is there for your review at any time. I wanted to talk a bit about grading. Grading has now been revised for the entire Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools system. So no matter what school a student goes to, no matter what grade level he or she is in, no matter what class your student is taking, the grading is structured the same across the district. So some assignments are now categorized as prepare assignments. For biology at Audrey Kell, we're going to have 20 of those assignments, and they will count for 20% of your student's grade in the course. Some examples of these types of assignments would include notes, classwork, homework, and journal entries. Next, we have rehearse assignments. There will be 10 rehearse assignments for the quarter, and those will count for 30% of the quarter grade. Examples of these types of assignments would include problem sets with application problems, labs in some cases, and shorter quizzes. And then finally, we have the perform category. We will have 3 major assessments in a quarter, and those 3 assessments will collectively count for 50% of your students' overall course grade. This does not include the midterm exam nor the final end of course test. There are 3 assessments per quarter in addition to those 2 final assessments. With regard to assessments, students who don't master the material or demonstrate mastery of the material on the first assessment can improve their assessment score by retesting. If a student does not earn an 80% or better on a test, he or she is eligible to retest. 80% is considered mastery of the material on the test. This would only go for those perform category grades, not any rehearse quizzes or any prepare assignments, just for the major perform assessments. There are time frames in which students have to complete retesting. Typically, it is within 2 weeks of the perform date. Prior to retesting, however, a student is required to complete a remediation assignment and go over that assignment with me. And after that is done, then the student will be eligible to schedule a time for retesting. But again, I want to emphasize that there is a time frame in which this has to occur. And in general terms, it is 2 weeks after the perform date that was originally administered. I mentioned that I am available for tutoring. I am available at least 1 afternoon per week, sometimes more. This varies depending on meeting schedules and other factors. So I have a calendar posted in the classroom where students can look and see where my availability is for morning or afternoon tutoring, and they can sign up on that calendar so that I know to expect them. Next, we do an awful lot of labs in class, and we are in desperate need of some donations to our classroom. If you can in any way make a small donation to the classroom, such as a roll of paper towels, a box of tissue, a set of small plastic cups that you might buy at a convenience store such as Target, or Ziploc bags, these are some of the most pressing needs that I have to provide to students. Paper towels being the number 1 need, since we do an awful lot of labs that can get messy. I did ask students to bring in one of these items, and I got a few from some students. And so you probably are aware if your child was able to bring one of those things in. I would very much appreciate if everyone could find a way to donate one of these items to our classroom. Your student can bring it to me right before school so they don't have to carry it around all day. Paper towels are my number 1 need. Lastly, I wanted to go over some contact information with you. By far, the best way to access me is through email. My email address is sherry.mudd@cms.k12.nc.us, and I will respond to your email within 24 hours. I do have a website where there are some frequently asked questions that will be addressed, so that might be a good place to start. There's also a contact me button on the website. So this is a website through Canvas, and you can access it through the information provided here or by logging into Canvas as an observer for your student. And then lastly, you can phone the school if needed, and they will give me a message which I will return within 24 hours. I hope that I have adequately addressed any questions that you might have had, but do feel free to get in touch with me if not. I am very much enjoying my time at Ardrey-Kell, and all of the students that I have are just wonderful. So don't hesitate to reach out to me at any time. Thank you.